If conservatives and liberals all got along, they'd probably shut me down by the end of this song. Seem like the whole province go against me when I'm in the street. All I hear is yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah. First up in our review of The Real World, we're going to start it off with Kendrick Lamar's duet of Mad City with an impressionable, oblivious white girl. 2.5 bulbs out of 5 for this misadventure. Why? Because the story's fucking stupid, man. Alright, you're a Pulitzer Prize winner. You should have been able to realize that only one of two things can happen. She's either going to say it, or she's not going to say it. And, but she said it. And not even nuanced or cool like he says it in the song. She says it all white girl wasted like. It was hilarious, but then you shut down your whole show to call her out. And at that point, I'm just like, man, you gave an impressionable white girl the black card and then immediately took it back.
I don't fuck with you. You little dumbass bitch, I ain't fucking with you.
You invited a white girl to join you on stage to sing a song that's written from the perspective of a black man in Compton. Who is she to censor any of your lyrics as a Pulitzer Prize winner? Also, don't you know that women have been oppressed? Women have suffered so much that they have suffered on a rate comparable to that of the plight of an African-American slave in the deep American South. Women are basically honorary black people now because of all the oppression they have faced in modern society. Women should be allowed to say the N-word. Don't you watch the news, Mr. Lamar? Pulitzer Prize winner with your fingers on the veins of society? You should have saw it coming, and you didn't, or you did, and if you did see it coming, that's just a stupid fucking point to make, man. Stupid fucking point to make. And if you're gonna get really offended, let's face it, like, you are irresponsible with your white people. Kendrick Lamar is not allowed to have white friends anymore, because that's the world we're living in. Since he is irresponsible with his white people, no other black person is allowed to have white people. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that whole song sounds better without the N-word in it altogether, but don't invite white people on the stage to sing your songs anymore. And if you do, tell them beforehand, like, bitch, censor yourself. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, that's okay with me though. Still acting fancy Frito, packing my big bag in a Speedo. Come in contact with my package, I just be unleashing scandals. Walk around in crazy town, exploring Morgan Freeman sandals. Latent victim candles, endless space upon my mantle. Room for more out my back door, but I can't explore, my mind is fragile. Home alone, I heat the handle, burns my grip and traps my ass well. High from life inside my mind and in by too many cups of Maxwell. Can you trust me as well? I'm just a trusty asshole. Run me up a rusty flagpole, half-mast my grassy asshole. Travel to the past and aboard my tadpole. Last laugh at indoor raffles, back from the past and you are baffled. Big old titties, bouncy castles. Next up in our review of The Real World, the double-dip Timbit shit woman. Here in Canada, home of the people that act properly when you tell them you can't use the bathroom. This woman takes a shit on the Tim Hortons floor, and Tim Hortons doesn't even close for the day, you know? Like, Starbucks closes for a couple of days to teach some bullshit race training, and Tim Hortons doesn't even close for the rest of the day so they can sterilize the place. Like, how the fuck are you still open? This woman, after she's told that she cannot use the bathroom, she just decides, I'm gonna crouch down right here and take a shit. And not only that, you take the napkins from the napkin dispenser, wipe my ass with them, pick up the shit with said napkins, launch the shit at the guy behind the counter, and then the bitch double dips those same napkins again. Oh, God! Like, even if you did stop to sanitize, I fucking bet you they forgot. I bet you they forgot to clean that napkin dispenser. The next customer that uses that napkin dispenser is gonna get a big old shitty thumbprint on it. Like, that is That kills me. That kills me. Also, what kills me is like, who was the very first customer after this happened? Like, were they somebody that wasn't there? And please, God, please let that customer have been a witness. You know? Just walked over after the whole incident and was like, give me a double-double and a chocolate dip. Oh my God, people. People. 4 out of 5 bulbs. 4 out of 5 bulbs. For the double-dip Timbit shit woman. Christ almighty. And they arrested her in the parking lot too. So basically this is a lesson. This is a lesson to be told. When black people are told they're not allowed to use the washroom, they don't use the washroom. White people in their privilege think they're so fucking privileged they can just take out their ass and shit all over Tim Horton's floor. That man is a national treasure. Up next in our review of television, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is back. This is a show, like, I will always be a Tina Fey fan. Every time they try to say that women aren't funny in comedy, I just have to direct them to Tina Fey or Amy Poehler. Specifically, Tina Fey. 30 Rock, as far as I'm concerned, is the funniest comedy that was ever produced for television. People can give it up to Seinfeld all they want. 30 Rock was where it was at. And when 30 Rock started to peter out, Parks and Recreation was where it was at, because the same type of talent was involved there. And now it is carried on with me to the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I love anything that has Tina Fey's name on it, and this new season of Kimmy Schmidt is no different. So 4 out of 5 bulbs for the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's rapid-fire humor, belly laughs every 20 seconds. If you laugh too much at one joke, you're going to miss the next one to come. It's always surprising. Something is always going to catch you. And the best thing about Tina Fey comedy is the joke callbacks. I mean, they can set up a joke in episode 1 and they're paying it off in episode 6, and they don't even give a shit if you watched episode 1. But if you remember it, you're rewarded. It's one of those shows that rewards its viewers for paying attention, enjoying the humor, and I find her humor is the perfect kind. Tina Fey's humor is the perfect kind of humor, even when she deals with political things. You're not doling out the humor just to rip people apart and really hurt them emotionally. You try to find a little bit of truth in it. So 4 out of 5 bulbs for the new season of Kimmy Schmidt. Also, if you just want to bone up on Tina Fey, no pun intended, even though she is my cup of tea. So if you just want to get a little bit more information on Tina Fey, I recommend her interview with David Letterman. Very insightful, very good. If you're a female in the industry and you're pursuing comedy, if you don't know your shit about Tina Fey, I don't think you have any chance of success in the business. You'll end up being like Samantha Bee or something. In which case, I just want to tell you people, okay, there's a huge difference in strong female comedy and strong comedy with a female perspective. And Tina Fey is it. Samantha Bee is not it, guys. She's giving you those little tidbits that, you know, twirl your taint. Ooh, I like what she's saying. Ooh. But she's not funny. She's not funny. You clap at her. Yeah, woo! Woo! Ivanka fucks her dad. Woo! You're so funny. Woo! It's not. Tina Fey is the epitome of comedy from the female perspective. So I surely recommend the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. And also 30 Rock. If you haven't checked out 30 Rock, that's something you can binge. You're going to love buying the complete collection of that and checking out the comedy gold that Tina Fey was able to produce. Also, Donald Glover was a writer on 30 Rock. He started there. So tons of genius on display for Tina Fey's comedies. Next up in our review of video games, we have 5 out of 5 bulbs for Detroit Become Human. It's a very ambitious game. It's finally a huge hit. Like, David Cage is an auteur. He's basically the Steven Spielberg of video games, like Hideo Kojima. Ever since his first one, what was the first one? It was like Indigo Project or something like that. It was PS2. I even love that game. And I'm a huge fan of Beyond Two Souls. I think that was just the cream of the crop in terms of cinematic storytelling in video games. You don't know what you're going to get because it's his game. Pick your own story. You're led in whatever direction you choose to go to. If you don't choose, though, you're going to have a bad time. If you take too long to choose, or you choose wrong, or do whatever, you're going to be led around a meandering storyline, and you might not get the ending you really want. People are giving Detroit Become Human shit because, like, David Cage evokes this imagery, and it's historical imagery. So he evokes stuff like Japanese internment camps in World War II in America. He evokes, like, an image of, like, sitting in the back of the bus, a la Rosa Parks. And people are like, well, what's he trying to say? He's not adding anything new to the argument of civil rights, and he's not adding anything new to that. Come on, guys. Come on. It's video games. You're politicizing video games, and it's not going to lead anywhere good. This is why you shouldn't politicize video games, because first, you have to understand politics. And since most people don't have a fucking grip of politics, because you either choose between the blue or the red, and you don't hear what any other side has to say about it, you just lock onto your political position and you don't fucking move. So how can you understand politics in the first fucking place and then push that ideology with a video game narrative? But David Cage, he's not trying to say anything really about Rosa Parks. He's not trying to say anything about Japanese internment camps. What he's trying to do is get you, the player, to relate to the main characters of the story. You're a human who's playing as a non-human. You are not an artificial intelligent cyborg or android or anything like that. How does one get a human with compassion and empathy to relate to the characters that David Cage has created? Well, you put them in situations that are reminiscent throughout human history. You put them in situations that already tug at our empathy and our heartstrings. So to see an android being forced to ride on the back of the bus is getting you to relate to these characters. They're like, oh, we're doing exactly what we did. Now racism is basically gone, and we have put that on androids. So our hatred is shifted from living people to the non-living. Race isn't really a factor, but it's to give us empathy for these characters already, because those situations with Rosa Parks and Japanese internment camps, it was a bad fucking look at the time. But by evoking these images, all David Cage is trying to do is get you to relate and empathize with androids. Androids are riding on the back of the bus. What they did to Rosa Parks is wrong. So what they're doing to this android is wrong as well, because it's exactly the same thing. He's using history and the impact that history already has, and he is applying it to these characters so we can relate to them. It's the same thing we do. We personify everything so we can enjoy a movie on it. How many times do you see personified animals in movies, like every Disney movie? You can have a funny, hip, talking cow, but guess what? We still eat hamburgers, don't we? But we can sit through a movie for an hour and 20 minutes of cows talking to each other because we personify them in ways that get us to immediately relate to these non-human characters. The politicizing of video games, you can have a message, but when we start playing the right or the left game with video games, like video games is the last frontier of unadulterated entertainment. There's no Hollywood bullshit engine that's tainting a story one way or the other. So you can have a really hardcore story, really politically incorrect, and who fucking gives a shit? Look at Far Cry 5. People are playing, you play Far Cry 5 for the crazy ass fucking characters in it. And people are actually rating this video game like, oh, there's something wrong in it because I think this character is awfully conservative, and I think he might be a Trump endorser. And they're fictional fucking characters in a video game. Have your message. That's why we have Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. That's why I put out these political messages and all that bullshit on YouTube, is because I don't want to see them in my video games. So the second we start playing the right and the left in video game world, okay, that's when we're going to see the exact same thing happen to the video game industry that has happened to Hollywood. Hollywood is crap. They're so worried about playing politics these days that they don't even concentrate on telling a good fucking story. And it's starting to become more apparent with God of War. God of War 4 came out on April 20th. And by May 10th, there was somebody online talking about how God of War made him a better father. Okay, like, maybe that's true. But how the fuck do you know if you're a better father when 30 days hasn't even gone by since the release of the game? So you played a 20-hour video game campaign instead of babysitting your fucking kids, and that somehow makes you a better dad. Like, maybe you just put the kid on the couch and played God of War for 20 hours, and then when you were done, you were like, I'm such a good dad. Like, I can't see it, man. You can't declare yourself a better father within like 20 fucking days of a game's release, you know? I can say Max Payne 3 made me quit drinking for a while, because it actually did. Like, I stopped quit drinking for a few months because I just, I got tired. Because Max Payne made me feel bad for drinking. But the game came out April 20th, and by May 10th, somebody's talking about how they're better as a father. So 5 out of 5 bulbs for Detroit Become Human. Play it, guys. But if you're saying something to yourself like, what's David Cage trying to say here? What are you trying to say? It's a story where you pick your own path. So the choices you make gives you a certain outcome. You made the choices that brought you to this ending. There's multiple endings. So maybe you should ask David Cage not what he's trying to say with the story, but what he's trying to say about you and the choices you make. So all that besides, I don't want to tell you too much about Detroit Become Human, because walking into Beyond Two Souls, I never knew a thing about it. I knew what to expect from Hard Rain because I saw friends playing it, but I had no idea what to expect with Beyond Two Souls. And because of that, I was blown away a little bit more. So I don't want to do that to people coming to play Detroit Become Human. All I want to do is tell you that if you love narrative games, if you're new to David Cage and you don't quite know what to expect, but if you ever played a Telltale game, this is basically the same thing, but with a lot more sophistication, a lot more immersion into the world that's created around you. And the narrative, I just want you to be surprised by the narrative. Again, 5 out of 5 bulbs for Detroit Become Human. And if you haven't picked up any of David Cage's previous games, I recommend you do so. And I recommend you start with Two Souls with Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe. We're playing movies now, folks. We're playing them. Next up in a segment I like to call Too Much Information. I enjoy pissing on people. I love it. I absolutely love it. Subconsciously, though. Subconsciously. And I'll have to tell you why. I had to develop a method to get over stage fright. So if I'm in a public place and, I'm in the urinal, I got this guy here, everyone's having a conversation. Every now and again you get stage fright. You're like, I don't want to piss in front of these people. So much in the same way that a performer would force themselves to cry, you think of a situation where it would be impossible not to. Well, I do the same thing, except my story revolves around urination. So in my story, I gotta think fast. It involves 2 people that give me a window to piss on them. And it's a very short window of 5 seconds. So basically, I have no choice but to piss in 5 seconds, or I'm never gonna get the opportunity to piss in these people's faces ever again. And it works 100% of the time. As soon as I put the image of these 2 people in my head, it's just, wow, waterworks. It's not exactly sexual in nature either. It's just, maybe you pissed me off or something, or maybe you're like me and you can be irksome and irritating sometimes. And, I just want to piss in your face. I just want to piss in your face. And it works 100% of the time. which is bad because I have to make sure that I take it out first. Because as I said, it works 100% of the time. So if it's not out at the time I'm thinking of this, I'm just going to piss all over the front of my pants. They love everything about it too. The smell, the taste, the volume. Give me your piss. I'm friends with a lot of different people of different nationalities and faiths and religions and races and nationalities and colors and genders and sexuality.
So who exactly am I offending?
I could be pissing on any single one of them. And if you're a close friend of mine,
I could be pissing on you.
You love my piss. Also, in our review of The Real World, Season 2 of Kneeling during the National Anthem. Again, I already gave this 5 out of 5 bulbs because it makes the right and the left lose their shit at one another. I may joke about it now and again, but I still endorse kneeling during the National Anthem. But we're at a point now where I'm just like, to do it during a game isn't brave to me. What I want to see happen is, say there's another cop shooting. I'm sure we'll probably get one soon enough with the way the world works. How about you fly your team out to that site and have them stand where the chalk outline is and play the National Anthem and take a knee on the spot where those people were killed. That's where I want to see these teams take it. Because if you really wanted to protest this stuff, and I'm sure, I know you do, but you're getting into a fight with the NFL now when the debate is worldwide. It's a worldwide debate, and you are turning it into a players versus NFL thing. You just have to remove the NFL, guys. That's all you got to do. You remove the NFL. What the fuck are they going to do to you if you kneel during the National Anthem on your own time? And you do it in mass. You do it all together. You go out to the scene of that crime. You stand on that chalk outline. You surround yourself with the victim's family and friends. What better way to prove your point? Play the National Anthem then, and then take a knee. Would this not be a powerful image? Get on a plane and go down to that street, go down to that community, and say to that community, look, we stand with you now and we kneel with you now together in the same spot. You don't have to watch us on TV. You get to join us as we do it. I think that would be a much more powerful statement. The impact is gone now. You have to fly out to these places. Because now we're not even talking about why you're kneeling. We're talking about who disagrees with the fact that you're kneeling. Also, just so I can get this out for people that don't understand fans who don't want the politics involved with the sport. Say I came over to your house, and my Instagram account, I have 300 followers. But you, my friend, you have 20,000 Instagram followers. And I have something to say to a lot of people, but I only have 300 people dedicated to listen to it. So I ask you, hey, can I post my Bullsmack message on your Instagram account? And of course you would say, yeah, sure, you're my friend, why not? What's the harm in that? So I give you back your phone, you look at your Instagram account, and you're like, holy shit, I'm down 10% of my followers. And you come to me with a problem about that, and you say, you know, I lost 10% of my followers. And my response to you is, well, fuck you. Fuck your followers. If they don't like what I'm doing, that means they're a bunch of fucking racists, and fuck them anyway. 10%? 10% is nothing. And then you'd look back at me and say, yeah, 10% of my followers is nothing to you. So why don't you get your own fucking followers? So I think you should just cut the NFL out of it. Say, well, fuck you, NFL. We're going to take our pro athlete money and we're just going to go out there ourselves. Anyway, still 5 out of 5 bulbs for kneeling during the National Anthem. I told you, conservatives and liberals both hate me. Next up in a special request review given to us by one of our members of the Prevalent Minds, Matthew Rowe, has decided to ask the Bullsmack to give a food review on the flavor of Lay's regular chips. And to do so is Leo Yarn of the Yanking Yarns, here to make his internet debut. Leo, are you there?
Yeah.
How about that review, though?
Salt. They taste like salt.
Leo, a little disappointed, man. You gotta give some meat with those potatoes.
They taste like Mary Rose masturbation calluses.
Come on, Leo. Give it up, bud.
You know how many times I get slit out?
Listen, I know it's not what you wanted, Leo, but you gotta give
Never. And I comes out for this.
Doing the best I can, Leo. I'm sorry.
Fuck Matthew Rowe.
Leo.
Lick your
we're not-
palm
Leo,
after
okay.
rubbing your balls, you salty fuck. Fuck this, I'm out of here, love.
Leo, if you leave, we're not going to pay you, Leo. There you have it, Matthew Rowe. There's your review of Lay's regular chips. They taste like salt, apparently. Please don't request more of the puppets. I don't want to become a creepy Mr. Rogers. So, the Boy Scouts are accepting females now. It's no longer going to be the Boy Scouts. Women just want to follow us wherever we go. The only places that are safe now is going out to sea, because women don't want to be on a boat for 6 months, and going to your mother's house. It's just the way it goes. That's what they got to get. Okay, that's the last step that women have now. They took away the Boy Scouts. They took titties out of Playboy. The next stop is making our mothers disappear. Make no mistake, if a woman that's trying to win your heart could just make your mother disappear like Thanos with his finger snap, she'd do it. In a fucking second. She'd be like, well, no reason not to spend more time with me now, is there? Now that your mother don't exist, the Boy Scouts don't exist, and now your mother don't exist. So the only places we have left as men for refuges is my treehouse, which I don't care. You're not allowed in, ladies. It looks really ridiculous when you go in there and see 4 30-year-old people playing Nintendo 64 GoldenEye. It's not a good look, and you will never be accepted. I don't care if you're in the Boy Scouts. You will not take my refuges to get the fuck away from you. Sometimes boys just gotta be boys. And look, you took it away from them. That's okay. We'll see how it works out. I mean, you want to get rid of all masculinity altogether. Good for you. This is a big win for you. Now there's girls in the Boy Scouts. Cool. This is going to teach them how to be less awkward. I was part of the Boy Scouts, and one of the best things about it was I never felt awkward around other guys my age, talking about the same stupid bullshit. You were just able to be yourself, the same way girls are able to be themselves at their stupid little sleepovers all the time. Giddy talking about boys doing that little fold-up thing with the paper where they're like, pick a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pick a color, you're gonna marry him. You get to have your refuges away from men. So why can't men have refuges away from you? Especially at the time when you're going through puberty and stuff like that. You don't necessarily feel comfortable around girls that you were growing up with or in childhood. You don't feel comfortable around them when you get to your puberty years. You don't want girls to be around for every single embarrassing moment that could possibly ever happen to you. You don't want to sleep in a tent with a girl when you're 13 years old and you're just trying to figure out what the fucking erection is for the first time, and you got to worry about going on an overnight camping trip with a bunch of girls giggling all night. What are you supposed to do with that? Again, it's a shame, men are running out of refuges, but men, guess what? Just build a tree house. We gotta start building tree houses. Okay, if we're ever going to have any kind of refuge or freedom away from our women, we're going to have to become little rascals again. And if women want to be our women just so they can punish us, then we will punish ourselves. This is going to be a hard one, folks, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm going to give it 2.5 bulbs out of 5 because, let's see how it goes. So 50-50 shot. This ends in absolute disaster, or it works. So I'm going to give it 2.5 bulbs out of 5. Next up in our review of the real world, a very big step in the world of women, the Miss America pageant is no longer a pageant. Now it is a competition. and contestants will be selected solely upon what is inside them, their intelligence of mind, and not by their outer appearance or by stereotypical beauty standards. I'm going to give this 3 bulbs out of 5. For one, I don't know anybody that really watches the Miss America pageant besides 12-year-old boys who don't have a Wi-Fi password. It's the same thing as the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Like, you watched the Miss America pageant specifically for the swimsuit segment. I think a lot of women watched it specifically for the swimsuit segment. Because when it came down to contestants working the stage for intelligence, all we got was, what's your long-term goals? World peace, a vegan lifestyle, world peace. You know, it was just, everything was world peace. So much so that's a running joke. Women will be judged on the merit of their arguments on societal issues. So if you're going to do it by intelligence, that's awesome because they already picked the finalists. We realize we've been watching a bunch of dimwits, but now men don't have a refuge. And now women, pretty women don't have refuges anymore. You can't just be a woman and be pretty anymore. You can't be a pretty woman and have a job at Formula One. You can't be a pretty woman and be the winner of the Miss America pageant anymore. So men are running out of their refuges. Women are running out of their refuges. The world in this situation seems to be working on an even keel. Don't seem to mind that too much. The best part about this, though, and the reason why I give it 3 out of 5 bulbs, I would have gave it just like 2 out of 5 bulbs, but there's one part that seriously excites me. Basically, to solidify their narrative here, they have to make sure that a frumpy, mothball coat-wearing side shaver is part of the finals, or at least in the running for a long time. So, basically, it's gonna be like William Hung and Sanjaya all over again, but for girls. So, 3 out of 5 bulbs for Miss America Pageant 2.0. Next up in our review of movies, I gotta give a little shout out to a small little indie film called Revenge. Now, I'm gonna give 4 out of 5 bulbs for this revenge thriller. I love revenge thrillers. I don't care whose perspective it's from, whether it's the male, female, I don't give a fuck. Okay, if they're out for revenge, I'm there. I'm signed up to watch it. If you're male, female, anything in between, and you love revenge thrillers, you're going to enjoy Revenge. And not just enjoy, you are going to root for this main character. She starts off as a typically mousy little ditz, and by the end of it, she's basically Sarah Connor from Terminator 2. Very potent violence. Very potent violence. Surprising, startling, gives you a big jump. But there's one scene I want to talk about that is just fucking perfect. And okay, so the main character, the female, this all starts, the whole situation starts, is she's brought to a desolate location by a rich dude on his isolated property. He has a few friends come over. One of those friends end up raping this girl. So the rich guy that brought her there to solve the situation doesn't call the authorities, doesn't rat out his friends, doesn't do anything like that. He's just a complete, utter piece of shit. And to solve the situation, he throws her off a cliff and he leaves her for dead. And against all odds, she's able to come back and get her revenge. And I always like making fun of the feminazis. I really do. But this time, I'm going to recommend this to the feminazis. You are going to love living vicariously through this character. Especially, there's one particular scene where the main character, where her rapist steps on a piece of glass and it's stuck in the bottom of his foot in this big wide slit. And no matter how hard he tries, he can't get that out of his foot. And it really hurts him to do so. And he just can't get it out. And maybe I'm giving too much credit. I haven't looked into it. But if that scene with him trying to pull that glass shard out of the cut in his foot wasn't designed on purpose, I think they should lie to people and say it was. Because here you have this rapist character crying and sniveling and feeling sorry for himself. No, I can't get it out. I'm like, feels pretty bad, doesn't it? Feels pretty bad. When something gets stuck in you that you can't get out. Poor you. I have to believe that scene is by design, because it's absolutely genius. It's absolutely genius. So I don't want to tell you anything more about the movie than that, except for the fact that it does transcend the typical revenge thriller formula. So 4 out of 5 bulbs for Revenge. So that's going to be our show today, folks. Thank you for joining me, your host, Prevalentmind, as we continue the Happy Asshole Summer Series. So, dicks, tits, and everything in between, I thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you back again next time.